Yes, ma'am, you have a question.
Yeah. I just want to ask you a very simple question. Do you know what a notch baby is?
Yes, I know what a notch baby is.
How many of you people in here tonight know what a notch baby is? If you do, hold your hand up for me, please. See, look, nobody knows. Okay, there's one, there's another one. Good.
Oh, I know what a notch baby is, ma'am.
Okay, there's another one.
Right.
All right. I am a notch baby. I was born in 1923 in San Francisco, California. I have been working since I graduated from high school in 1941 in San Francisco. My first job was working at I've been putting in Social Security for a very long time. Okay, we had a president, and I don't know which one, that decided he was going to save Social Security, so he said he was going to put in a notch of 10 years, 1917, 1927. If these people managed to stay alive and retire, they were going to get a little smaller percentage of what they had put in when they retired. It's my fault I was born in 1923. No! But do you think those idiots in Washington, D.C. will ever change that and pass this bill that's been sitting there for God knows how many years to scratch out that knot and give everybody born during that 10-year period? My husband was born in 1960. He got $14,000 more. But he earned more than I did. But I was a school bus driver at the time. I made pretty good money. But I get $900 a month. Yes. Do you want to know what that's it? But I just want to know how many of you people know about being notch babies? Okay.
There was a look at the overall return on the contributions that had been made. And there was discovery that there had been a miscalculation which paid more than the program was supposed to pay up. So the decision was made, do you say to the people who have already been on Social Security, they're going to get a reduced amount? Or do you tell the group that is coming on within a certain period of time that they are going to not get as much as those who got it before because they're going to repair the calculation? And it was decided that it would be done within a transitionary period of 10 years. And so those in that notch baby category get less as a percentage factor based on what they contributed than those who were before, but get more than those who are younger after that 10 years because the calculation was made after what the system was supposed to do. So there's a transition period for 10 years, which is called the notch. And that group of people got less than those who did before in terms of the factor used for the calculation of benefits, but more than those who went after. That's the notch baby fix. It was an effort to say to those we're not going to take everything away from you based on what the miscalculation is. We're going to do a transition. So now folks said, wait a second, we're being treated differently than those who came before. Yes, that's true. You're also being treated differently than those who come after. You're being treated better. So if you talk about having to help the system, and there are those, somebody here said, you know, I remember the days when President Reagan and Tip O'Neill got together. I was there then, and it wasn't quite as love and kisses as people say today, but on that particular case, they did come together. That was part of the fix to try and stabilize Social Security. It stabilized it for about 25 years. But if you go back now and say, hey, wait a second, that agreement that you had to help stabilize it, we have to change now. How are you ever going to have a system that works? So I understand the concern, but actually that 10-year group does better than those who come after in terms of the percentage of the contribution they made. Does slightly less, does somewhat less than those who came before, but it was a miscalculation. They based it at that time, recognized about 1982. And I remember very well, there were a lot of letters at that time because it was either Ann Landers or Dear Abby decided to talk about the Dutch babies, and when they talked about it, let me tell you, everybody listened. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's see. Yes, ma'am.
Compliment you because you are one of the few people in Washington who will send out your newsletter to people who are not in your district. This is amazing, and my friends who live anywhere from Northern California to Florida read your newsletter because of that. And my question is a very simple one. I've been on Social Security for 3 years. Look at, I know that, but I have. Starting Medicare in 3 weeks. I do not want to be helped by the nanny state. I appreciate my Social Security. I've earned it. However, when it comes to balancing the budget, that's probably going to get close to home in your pocketbook, sir. When we on Social Security a year and a half ago were told we were not going to get a COLA raise, understand that the economy did not warrant one, the Senate voted themselves a hefty increase in salary. I would like to know if they're willing to give that back.
Well, I'm not aware of any vote the Senate did. That would have to go in the House. We have to vote on it together. And there has not been an increase in either the Senate or the House salary over the last couple of years. So I don't know where that information came from. Somebody may have recommended it over on the Senate side. But we're all paid the same except for the leadership is paid somewhat more both in the House and the Senate. But no, there hasn't been a raise in the last couple of years. And the Senate couldn't do it without our support. Way in the back, yes sir. Well, the fellow in the blue shirt, he's been holding his hand up all this time.
I have a question. Why don't you think that closing tax loopholes and making the wealthy pay their share of taxes is better than laying off teachers, cops, and firefighters?
Well, I've been in support of getting rid of a lot of these tax exemptions and loopholes for some period of time. My record, I mean, I've been on record for it. I support it now. I've supported it for some period of time. So I have been one of those who suggested getting rid of a number of these things. Bringing the rates down, broadening the base, meaning having more people pay in terms of wealthy or middle class if they're escaping what they're supposed to pay, and probably it's the wealthy that are doing it because they can afford the lawyers and the tax accountants. I think we would have a simple system as possible so that people don't escape it. And I think the economy would be better because people wouldn't make decisions based on whether, you know, can I shelter this income from taxation, as opposed to saying, is this a good decision for you to make rather than a dumb economic decision. I think the economy would work better. I think we'd have more jobs. I think we would function far, far better if that were the case. So I've not been opposed to that. I've supported that for some period of time. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Congressman, for coming out tonight. You take our board through all
Believe me, I'd much rather be home.
Anyway, I spent a good part of my career in the corporate world, 25 years, then I started my own business. But during that time in the corporate world and my own business, when times got bad, we'd take a 10-15% cut in pay. And I'm wondering if you go back to Washington for us and propose that to the Senate and to the House, to maybe do that. I think instead of opposing everything that Obama is coming up with, I think that the Republicans need to take some leadership, and this would be a way to do it. What do you think about taking a 10 or 15% cut?
Well, I'll tell you, I am chairman of the House Administration Committee, and the first thing I did was cut our budgets by 6%. Then this year we cut our budgets by 5%. So in terms of our overall budget, we are cutting it by somewhere around 11 or 12% per, well, no, it's not salary, it's what we want to do. No, it's also a number of people I can employ, it's whether or not I give raises, it's travel, it's office, it's how I spend my money. Well, I understand that. Believe me, I understand that very, very well. But well, Republicans are taking leadership. We haven't had a cut in the budget of the Congress of the United States, I don't believe, in my lifetime. We're the first Congress to do that. I have looked at every single contract we have as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, and we are saving, we will at the end of this year, have saved tens of millions of dollars just in the operations of the House. No one has ever done that before. We are looking at the entire federal establishment with respect to that. So, I mean, you want to talk about leadership, we have. No one's ever done that before. So I'd be happy to do that. I appreciate it. I took a huge pay cut to take this job.